Why can't I negotiate directly with the manager? Pardon my naivete, long-time lurker. But I've been shopping around for a couple months now and trying to talk to salesmen about trading in my Outback for a new CR-V hybrid. I try and get a rough appraisal over the phone and I'm constantly met with just come on in and we'll work something out. Only to then step into the dealership and I get the, let me go ask my manager line every time I try to negotiate, trade-in value. I acknowledge there's no wiggle room on a CR-V hybrid. But every time this happens the salesman is gone for 20 to 30 minutes at a time and I feel like my time is being colossally wasted. Why can't the manager come out and I negotiate directly with them? Directly with someone with the power to make these decisions. I don't want to sit at the dealership all day. I want to know in 15 minutes whether or not we have a deal. Is the sales manager in back actually a hard ass on these deals and it's the salesman trying to smooth them over? Or are they back there shit talking about me? Is the salesman really advocating on my behalf? What's actually happening and why do I have to wait so long? Have I just gotten unlucky with bad salesmen? Any insight is appreciated. TLDR, why do I have to negotiate with a salesman and wait 20 minutes between rebuttals versus talking directly with the manager and being in and out in 15 minutes? Bring your research trade value and before the salesman goes to the manager inform him that this is the number that makes you a buyer. If your car is worth that, they will give you that and this is the best way to do this. A lot of the online experts will tell you not to be so transparent, but this will get you much better results. Also, be realistic with the number. Appraise your vehicle objectively and have a set desired value, not based off of retail values, but based off of trade-in values. Every dealer wants to pay less than a car is worth, just like every customer wants to get a better price. By being upfront and knowing a realistic value, you are less likely to have your time wasted. A sales manager has between 3 and 15 salespeople depending on the store. Let's just assume at a Honda franchise is on the higher end. I think the single most important thing as a negotiation is best done by the salesperson who has built rapport with their client. Reminding them of the reasons why they should be flexible in their demands in order to achieve a solution that works. Without knowing your personal reasons for wanting to change vehicles, we have less to remind you of through our investigation. If your salesperson hasn't taken the time to build rapport and investigate why you're changing or adding a car, then the entire negotiation will be based on one aspect: price, when it shouldn't be. Perhaps in many situations the need to adjust vehicles up trim, down trim, new to used to new etc. exist. Secondly, the sales manager's job is multifaceted. Not only are we keeping track of the activities of sales staff, whom all need to be kept on track, and whom can need critical information at any moment that can make or break a sale based on the speed of being able to get it. For example, hey boss, got this guy on the phone who wants X, can I tell him yes or no? Perhaps 2 or 5 salespeople all have customers negotiation deals right now, so if I sit with you for 15 minutes, who's getting ignored? Now let's not talk just about the moments in a negotiation, but also my ability to collect the data I need. I have to have 3 invoices for the 3 deals. 3 credit apps for the 3 deals, plus the 2 for the guys on the phone who need to know their rate before they come in lol. Plus the dent guy is here. Plus I need to look at the car that just came back from detail. Plus I need to chat with the picture guy because the truck he took pics of last week was a trade-in and the wheels and tires on it are back to stock now, so I need new pics. This salesperson wants to go to lunch, so now I have to head count to ensure I have coverage, and so I need to know where I'm at in each deal. Who's on a test drive, with what car, so that one of my other guys who's looking for the car can tell his customer where the car is. If I make one mistake in that tiny snapshot of what is every single day, I lose my best chance at selling a car. Simple return on investment. I don't have the time, and unless I am 100% certain my salesperson has made every effort, the next salesperson has gone behind them and tried to connect the dots between us having a deal and not, it's simply not a good ROI for me to drop everything. One of the biggest rushes in my life and one of the most enjoyable jobs is being a sales manager. My biggest team was 14. I still fill in these days in the sales department and I have a blast. But when you go home after your shift, you think to yourself, I just made tens of thousands of dollars in decisions. All at a split-second pace, and I never second-guessed a single one. Incredible job. There is always something that I should be doing or watching or training on, and to stop for 15 minutes can blow up none, 1, or 30 of those things depending on the moment. While I think 20 minutes for a response is a long time, perhaps in order to not lose a deal the manager needed to call the used car manager to get a second opinion on your car before saying no. Perhaps that call was after getting 2 other demands handled. It isn't unlikely that things can at a busy store, and a Honda or Toyota franchise can be absolute insanity on the desk. You're under the impression that you see a car, you go pay for it, trade your current, and you're done. It's more complicated than that. I won't go into why a salesperson doesn't handle the final okay on negotiations, that's been explained on here already. But let's talk about after you agree to numbers. After you agree to numbers, there is a transfer of money, involving the bank, a transfer of ownership, involving the state, and getting values and incentives from the manufacturer. I won't include the fact that an OFAC has to be ran in this process, we'll leave that step out. While a salesperson is getting a car to detail and doing all the preliminary paperwork, a manager is doing all the steps above. So instead of one person trying to do the entire process, which would slow it down, you have 2 or 3 people working on getting everything finalized. Plus, I want to add that a manager's job is to manage the staff, and more importantly, inventory. I know what's coming in, what our objectives are, what special programs there are, but I couldn't present a F-150 anywhere near as well as a competent salesperson. If I know I have 20 XLT F-150s coming in next week, I know I can afford to take a skinnier deal. If there's only 2 coming within the next month, I'm going to hold my price higher. A good manager keeps inventory in check. A salesperson's job is to get a customer in the door and interested in doing a deal. Most of the time it's one manager per like 4 to 5 salespeople, hence checking the market and calling wholesalers to see what dough he can get for your shitbox. It's not a simple yes or no on trade number. You don't have to negotiate. You can simply pay asking price and take what they give you on the trade. The manager doesn't have time to talk to you. 20 minutes between rebuttals is too long. Reality is, sales managers have teams of salespeople working under them. If managers had to negotiate directly on every deal, I can assure you the average wait would be longer. All dealerships handle it differently. Some dealerships use assistant sales managers to fill the gap that you're looking for. Sales guy shows you the vehicle, ASM comes out to try to close the deal. The dealerships I've always liked the most let the salesman negotiate and close their own deals, however you need approval from the manager. The salesman you've been with for the last hour has the best pulse on what makes you tick and knows you infinitely better as well. Typically makes it a little easier to close deals. Their system is not designed to be efficient with your time or to get you the best price. Their system is designed to get you on the lot, focused on their inventory, get you qualified, and then try to extract optimum price out of you. Locking you in and wasting your time is part of their strategy. If you want to skip all of this stuff, you can try Tesla, buy at a no-haggle dealership, buy through a broker or service, etc. If you want to be in and out in 15 minutes, then you need to accept the first offer they give you. Lol. The manager at a Honda store is probably managing 10 salespeople at any given time, and there are other people who also want to buy a car there at the same time as you. Customers who like to haggle and try and get the price down become a lower priority for the manager because they're making less money on you, and the deal is inevitably going to take longer and be more complicated. But every time this happens, the salesman is gone for 20 to 30 minutes at a time, and I feel like my time is being colossally wasted. Assuming that manager has 4 to 15 salespeople working for him, imagine how long you would have to wait if he had to do the negotiation with each customer. He doesn't have enough hours in the day to do negotiations on each deal. If the real question is why can't the salesman authorize discounts? Sometimes they can, but it is very rare. Salespeople are human and the urge to take the easy route is common. Most salespeople will immediately discount the car as much as they can at the slightest objection, then go back to the manager to ask for more. It just doesn't work most of the time. The manager has experience in closing deals and retaining as much profit as possible. The salesperson hasn't the experience. So you want to negotiate with the sharks? I love it when customers ask for the sales manager. If you came into the dealership I worked at demanding to speak/negotiate with a manager, you'd probably be waiting quite a while. If you were a long-time customer it might be a bit different, and even then I think you'd want an appointment, and would likely get a salesperson to run point on it because they have other obligations than just getting pricing for you specifically. A busy dealership will have a dozen or more salespeople, and there are other obligations for SM than just providing pricing. More likely, the manager will basically do a quick meet and greet before turning you over to sales and basically saying I've got a handful of other salesmen to work with and a GM riding me to try and get a few other things done for him. And I don't know the products and equipment nearly as well as plus C204, why don't you guys head out for a demonstration and we'll touch base when you get back, which is the polite way of saying you're not the only customer in here, bud, and then hope that I build enough rapport that you're okay to work with me the rest of the way. TLDR, why do I have to negotiate with a salesman and wait 20 minutes between rebuttals versus talking directly with the manager and being in and out in 15 minutes? The sales manager's job is to have the car sell for the absolute maximum amount of money possible. I don't think you're necessarily getting in and out in 15 minutes just because you're dealing with a manager unless you accept their first offer. SM turnover for us was usually just a way of bringing in an authority figure to say, yes, this is the absolute best deal we can offer, sign it now. Being in and out in 15 minutes? Are you familiar with the phrase sticker is quicker? Show up close to opening or fairly later in the evening. I showed up around 7 p.m., store closes at 9, and was able to negotiate directly with the manager while we were hanging out in the finance booth, which looked like the floor of the stock exchange. This was the only car purchase where I felt like we both got a really good deal. Because the time-wasting aspect of car buying is a strategy. The more impatient you are, the more likely you are to accept a deal below their absolute bottom dollar.